Welcome everyone to another episode of the Lancescurv show. Of course, with that relaxing music, we can't help but relax. And I have to say that I'm winding down right now and I feel really good. I had a really productive day from as soon as I woke up until now. I know Empress Elegy is out making her runs and doing some things, and she's probably, spending time with her mother. So I kind of reached out to her to see if she wanted to do something, but it's going to be that way sometime. But I said to myself, well, let me just throw something out here for a few minutes, because when I'm in this mood, it's just as beautiful as waking up. When you wake up and you have all the enthusiasm in the world and you have certain things that you're seeking to accomplish, it's the unknown factor even still, because so many things can happen in your day to take you away from that. Not thinking negative, but things happen. And so you say to yourself, well, I have the ability to adapt, but can I adapt to whatever might happen? Well, today I had something to do outside. As you all know, my iPhone fell in the gutter with some really green, mucky, dirty water. And someone came along and helped me. And I was like, wow, who does that? Who would sacrifice themselves in their hands and put it way down in there and pull it out? And when they pulled it out, it was on. But after I washed it off and cleaned it off, I was already at my destination where I was supposed to go. It just kind of sputtered out. Now, it's not a brand new iPhone. It's an iPhone 10, but I've become very, really attached to it, not in a dependent way, although I do not remember everybody's phone number. It's like that. But I don't depend on it where, I got to have the phone in my hand. I got to have the phone in my hand. My other Ghanaian phone is only for local calls. It's not really for the internet. It's just to call, people here in Ghana. Okay. So I don't use that as much. And for the last few weeks, maybe a month or two, I haven't used it much at all. I've been telling people, call me on my other iPhone under the WhatsApp, or you can dial it direct if you're from America. But that's neither here nor there. So I said to myself, this is going to be a real test, right? And so I didn't panic like people freak out, I said, well, at least I have another medium that I can get on and tell everybody that I kind of damaged my phone. Now, I was supposed to leave out today earlier and go get it taken care of. And I know it's probably going to cost a pretty penny, because my screen is just so mashed up. I really use it a lot. It's traveled with me to many places, took a lot of photos. I'd write in there, I'd record on it sometime. And it helped to keep me going as far as the platform is concerned. It was very crucial to implement that and get more mileage with content and with just general things, responding back to people at a quiet moment when I had it. So I surprised myself. You know how I surprised myself? I surprised myself by just saying, I'll go tomorrow. I don't know if at the Apple store they can repair it in the same day, but it was my plan to get it there very early. But the mall opens up at 10, and we do our shows at 12 here in Accra, so it can be up and alive by 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh boy, it's going to be a real stretch. And it doesn't hurt me in the early part of the day, because I'm already up. By the time it gets to be 8 o'clock on the East Coast, I've been up and I'm doing lots of things. But now my challenge is to get into bed on time, because when I came to Accra, I was beginning to slip into just staying on the East Coast time. Yeah, everybody I know is there for the most part. And I know a lot of people here, but people here, they go to bed early. So I might be up feeling as though I'm on East Coast time and look around and say, it's 1 o'clock. But really, if it's a 4-hour difference, it's 5 o'clock. So when the time switches over and falls forward or falls back, that's going to be 5 hours in the fall difference. So if I was trying to keep up with the East Coast and they say, it's 1 o'clock, whatever, do a show at 1 o'clock, SCURV. Well, guess what? 1 + 5 is 6 in the morning. And I would look out of the window and feel like a vampire. Like, oh my, I got to get to bed. And so it threw my body off because early in the day, I'm trying to keep up with the time here in Accra. So if I said I'm going to wake up at 9 or 10, well, if I'm going to bed at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, that's not enough sleep. The accumulation of fatigue that hit my body with the excitement of being here, not just a new city or a new state or the other side of the country, but a whole new country. Lots of people. Most of the time, I didn't know them and they didn't know me. It would surprise me when they would know me. And that happens because of the internet. It's not hard to get known when you do something for over 20 years. So that was fun. But, getting back into my own biorhythms and getting back in touch with myself and realizing that it's not too productive to do it this way. So I made a promise to myself that I'm going to be in the bed at midnight every single night. Now that's so hard to do because those of you who know me know that I've gone all night long until noon to do a show, crash a little bit in the afternoon and get up and repeat the process and could never stop. But it's just amazing when you get control of yourself. And again, it's because of my enthusiasm to do what I do. I'm always thinking about improving things, and then I'm excited to be here. So it's so much swirling around going on in my brain. But there are always little topics that I think about, and I know that thinking in a creative way, I can bring different topics and ideas hit me left and right. And it's like so hard to really capture them all. I hear something or see something in nature and it brings a topic to me. It's almost like, I have unseen entities around me whispering in my ear. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what keeps me going. As you well know, I'm not somebody who's trying to report on the news and be this reporter, because one person had wrote in the comment section, well, he needs to get his facts straight. I didn't say anything that wasn't true because I read an article, as I usually do, to speak about what's supposed to be fact-checked already from a so-called reputable newspaper or news platform, which we know they slant things and they always want to make us look bad, but certain things they're not going to lie about. So I thought to myself, I said, wait a second, how could they say that when I only spoke of my opinion on that story? Whatever story, okay? That's what happens all the time. They say, a story happens, and unfortunately we have people who murder people or bad accidents or good stuff happens, and the story is developing. And I do something one day, and 3 days later, they're like, you're wrong. Well, there were more developments in the story that weren't around when the story first happened. I gave my opinion up to that point. Check the date, please. But we don't think most of the time. With this society, the way the world is right now, it's just like we're zombies. We're trained zombies. I'm not saying this to anybody personal out here, right? I'm just saying that for the most part, we go through the world in a manner where we are told what to do and we just do it, and that's supposed to be normalcy. And it's like deep down we know that something's wrong with this place. Deep down we know that what we've been taught is wrong. Deep down we know for years and years we go to a house of worship or a church or whatever, and we're sitting there and we have to fight back certain thoughts because we feel guilty, because that's not what's being taught there. And we've been brought to these churches from being a child, and it's like, wow, you just don't feel it, and there's something more. And those of us who break away from that, those of us who dare to question what was handed to us as the right way, but it was something handed to us by flawed people. I'm not saying your family's flawed. I mean that in a way that we're not perfect. And so we adopt these perceptions over our life. And because our parents or whoever may have raised you, there are different situations out here where it wasn't just parents. It could have been one parent. It could have been a whole collective family, a village. It could have been an aunt, a cousin, a grandmother. You know where I'm getting at. But things were handed to you. They told you what they felt was right from wrong. And to me, that's wrong. You have to let a person sample a little bit from every piece and buffet of life. You guide them to what's right and wrong as far as what you do in practice. You just don't walk up to somebody and punch them in the face because they disagreed with what you said. You just don't go and sleep with every boy because they all tell you that they love you. You know what I mean? So there are things that they have to tell you to guide you the right way. But to impose certain things on you, I know individuals who have tried damn near every religion out there, and they're looking for this thing on the outside. But what they've always been looking for is on the inside. So they spent half a lifetime looking for something outside of them. The only thing a plant looks for outside of them is the water, the soil, and the sun. The seed can take care of itself in those conditions. And so we have to make sure that we can take care of ourselves, whatever conditions come along, because the answer for us is internal. And sometimes we have to live an entire life to finally figure that out. And we always say to ourselves, sometimes maybe you didn't. Maybe you found out early. Some people find out late. I've been like this for a little while, and I've always been like this to a degree. Even in my more carnal stages of my life, I always knew. And I always knew and looked around, and I said to myself, this is going to be a memory one day. I'm going to be in a world so far different than this little world that I'm in. And this is why we have to keep expanding our reality and expanding our mind. My father always told me, if a table has 20 legs under it, well, you think about something like that. Wait a second, how big is this table? Is it like 30 feet long? You know what I mean? 10 feet wide? Why does a table need that many legs up under it? It wasn't so much that he was talking about. What he was really trying to say was that the more support that you have independently, if one leg gets snatched out from under the table, you have 19 more legs holding it up. And truthfully, you get a normal sized table, say a round table, if you have 3 legs under it, if it's placed just right, equidistant around the edge, it will still hold up. So I ask you, how many legs are under your table? And what do I mean by that? Oftentimes we meet someone in our life and just get rid of everybody else. Oh, I met the perfect mate, and I'm getting rid of all my friends. I'm not going to pay them any mind. If they're true friends, you don't turn your back on them. You keep those legs under your table, right? And you have to remain as a support leg under their table. Because of that person that you've given your life up for, meaning you got rid of everybody who was around you just for them. And they dump you, or you catch them with someone else and they're not sincere in their commitment. It could be heartbreaking. And it doesn't have to be just a breakup thing, but something they said loosely, like, okay, I'm going to move here with you, and we're going to start a new life, and you find out that they don't. That's a hurtful thing. So I'm not just trying to say keep a whole lot of friends around you. It may not mean numbers per se. It could be pursuits. It could be different things that you're into, that you're involved in, that you're developing, that undergird a full life. It's very hard for me to get disappointed by the conundrums and actions of others who ended up being fraudulent, because I got too many things I got to do and I can't stop it. Once someone reveals themselves to not be what they say they are or portray themselves to be, they have done you a favor. They gave you more time to pursue your dreams and your visions and your plans. Now you can really get down to it even more. So thank them and their toxic energy, but always keep the real ones around you. And you might get disappointed every now and then, but as long as you keep on I said movement, right? Yeah, but I mean to get to that. As long as you keep on moving with a constant movement, like that rock that you skim over the lake and you take it and you throw it in a certain way where you throw it not down into the water, but you throw it parallel to the surface, and you put as much power as you can, and you can get 2 skips where it skips and skips, it hits the water and keeps going. 3 and 4. I once saw somebody, a little scrawny kid, years ago when I was up in Camp Treetops in the Adirondacks. I went there, and my parents sent me there, and when I was 11 years old back in 1974, and when I was 12 years old back in 1975. And I have to say, being up there was a whole different story, because I really had a face-to-face encounter, face-to-face directed at me with racism from a grown man. That's a whole other story. But this little guy, I think his name was Jeffrey, little freckled white kid, skinny as can be. And I was wiry, but I was very strong. He wasn't strong at all. He just had the technique to make that thing skim. He always got 4 skips. Most of us got 2 and 3. He always got 4 and sometimes 5. So we were always looking to see him get the 5 or maybe get the 6. We was like, you're never getting the 6. But it's just a matter of who you are. You don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to have the most money. You don't even have to be well liked by everybody. But if you pursue developing the seeds of greatness inside of you, nothing can stop you. And folks would figure, how does he do it? How does she do it? Well, you have to persevere. You must be consistent. You must want this thing more than you want anything else in the whole entire planet. And it's not a matter of lusting after something like, I don't see the sense in, well, I'm just going to work so hard and do all this overtime to get this car. All you did was transfer, not even ownership, I'll just say holdership. You're holding it for a while. You gave up your life force just to take possession for a time for something that is diminishing in a value, and you have to maintain. I like to live a simple life. I want to make my life more and more simple as time goes by. That's the way it is for me. I want to build more bridges righteously than create barriers and burn bridges. Now, there's some bridges that are burnt not by you, by someone else, and it wasn't your fault. And you're kind of happy in hindsight when you say, listen, you burnt that bridge. I am not building it up. I don't need that in my life. And sometimes it's like, wow, that was a big misunderstanding. My thing is that let's try to build more bridges with each other as a people than barriers, okay? Now, there's some people, like I said, that burn down the bridge. I'm not trying to build that bridge when you did it, and it's your fault to cover for your twisted life. No, that would almost be toxic for me to do so, because some of us can become addicted to people to the point where we don't see how toxic they were for our lives. So we got to always be in a state of self-cleansing. You might have a deep, good sleep, but if you had something dairy or something meat or something heavy, you're going to wake up with a big wad of something in your eye. The sleep felt good, but while you slept, your body is telling you something. You need to back up from that food. You need to clean up. So when you have people around you who are not undergirding you like one of those legs under your table righteously, then they're not doing too much good at all. And one thing for me, I don't need to be around huge groups to be motivated. I was always motivated by myself. When I was in single-digit ages in elementary school, and we would have to write book reports, for work. I'm thinking about reports for when I worked in corrections, right? My brain is kind of twisted right now. But for school, I used to do the book report, and the way that people would cheat is they would look in the inside sleeve of the book or in the back and just change a few words around, make it look simple. Don't use the big words. But I would really look through, and I didn't have to read the whole book. I would look at the chapters in the beginning and toward the end, and look at each chapter. Now, if it had like 80 chapters, which is like a huge book, I couldn't do it. But they never gave us that kind of work. But I was always intuitive to do just enough, not to just get by, but my brain worked so fast that it didn't take long for me to catch on. But also I would draw, and I love to draw. I love to draw. That's what got me online in the first place. Not even talking. I was just a quiet guy. While I'm talking to my friends and stuff, nobody knew my personality, how crazy I could be. They got all of that part of me. But I never came out here to push. Matter of fact, when I got online back in 2001, there was no YouTube. There was no Facebook. There was Black Planet. MySpace eventually came around, and a lot of youngsters used that. There's a lot of drama through that. I remember a lot of youngsters would go on MySpace, and if there was something that happened in school, like back in the day before all of this stuff, right? Something would happen in school as far as an altercation, a conflict, an argument, and then it would die down overnight. Or it would happen on a Friday and die down. A little tension when you come around, but you're just glad to be back and laugh with your friends. Now, or back in those days, which that wasn't yesterday. I know MySpace was around like 2003, 2004, like that. Well, make a long story short, the fight would continue, not with fisticuffs and not physical, unless you live near each other, but it would be a he said, she said thing. And what usually would end at 3 o'clock at the bell, and you didn't get into a fight and you got home safely, well, guess what? You got a message. Oh, you know, so-and-so said this about you. Yeah, I heard that too, and they add on more. What you gonna do about it? Now you come back in and answer back to them, and they bring it back, and it snowballs into something big where a lot of our children, and I'm saying children because of age, they could be 14, 15, you're still a child at that age. They'd get a hold of a gun and shoot the classmate. I have seen this. I don't mean with my own eyes, but in various neighborhoods. Remember, I drove a bus for so many years, so I would drive through those neighborhoods sometime and get the lowdown on what really happened. And social media would take us out of ourselves, and most of us as a people, we really don't come together. We look for reasons when we're not on a high level. We look for reasons to build barriers. We don't look for reasons to build bridges. We have someone new move into our neighborhood, and guess what? We're starting to look for reasons. Oh, the whole family got big heads, or who they think they are with that nice car, or whatever. Oh, they got attitudes, or oh, they got a hole in their shoe. We're just either looking for a way to pick at them if we feel they have something going on, or to make fun of them to make ourselves feel superior. And that's only on a lower carnal state. But even those of us who have ascended, lots of times we didn't get all of that residue off of us. It's like when you get in the shower, and you shower, you scrub down, and you rinse off real good, and you step out of the shower and look, and there's a big blob of soap on you, suds. You're like, wait a second, I thought I cleaned off good enough. And you did, but you forgot to get that part because maybe you weren't standing in front of a mirror. Well, guess what? If that big bit of suds can be on you and you don't detect it when you got water running all over your body, guess what? There's something in your personality that is harder to detect, some type of toxicity that you overlooked that is there, that you thought you grew from, but because of circumstances around you, it would bring out a reaction from you to let you know that you haven't grown. And so we always have to be in a state of self-reflection. We always have to be in a state of perfecting things. We're not perfect. We're never going to reach perfection. The Creator is perfect, and He made all of this for us. But we can still reach for perfection, knowing that when we reach for perfection, that we'll get better. You shoot for the stars and you hit the mountaintop. And that's low compared to the stars. So always aim high. And you can't aim high when you have all this toxic stuff inside of you. You can't aim high if you have the kind of personality that boxes you in away from the good people in your life. And then when you have to reach out to them, even if you determine, well, I'm not going to let them say whatever, and they never caused or did nothing to you, well, guess what? They don't mind. You can stay where you are with your toxic self. And we don't have to allow people back in. Like, yeah, I said I'm willing to building bridges, but I don't want to build a faulty bridge that I know is going to break down again and again and again. You have to budget your life force. You have to make sure that you have enough for yourself. The takers in your life are always going to say, you're selfish. Oh, you're selfish. Because they don't see you worn down unnecessarily. Because they see you budget your pocketbook, your bank account. You budget what's in there. You live below your means. You go to bed on time. You sleep. You get up. You vibrate. You build momentum in life, and you can accomplish more and more and more because you're in balance. You're tuned up. Your life is a perpetual tune-up. So when you feel worn down, we know that there's sometimes in this society, to get out of it, we have to do things and work a little more sometime. But at least be aware of it. Be aware of what's connected to you as far as the entities around you who are pulling from you to stop you indirectly from reaching your goals. You have to put your foot down. You have to be serious because you have this one life on this level. I know we see everything in nature saying there's a cycle of life, and I'm beginning to see that more. But who knows exactly how it goes? We are here for the experience of learning and getting better. We can't even take our bodies with us. But there's something I feel that we can take with us. I do believe and feel that we take the ascension of our spirit from the lessons that we learned that gave us wisdom. How many legs are under your table? How many legs are under your chair? Are you into building barriers or building bridges? Plus, minus, every single thing you do brings you closer to those goals. And everything that you do may have an effect to pull you away from it. And how many times have we seen people in our lives who are very talented, but then you learn after a while that talent isn't enough. And that's the title of a book that I read many years ago. Talent isn't enough. And I'm saying, and I think they mentioned something in a different chapter in the book along the lines of potential is not enough. You have to do. You have to put boots to the ground. Once you make your plan, you got to work it. It's like that perpetual student that stays a student all their life and never moves out from that level to accomplish something of note. It doesn't mean you have to accomplish something in the white man's system. No. It just means that you should accomplish something to validate all of the effort and all of the time that you spent on this earth. You weren't put here to sit down and do nothing at all. Just sit down and people tell you, live your best life. And just blow weed and drink Heineken and get an even bigger belly that looks like you're in your third trimester of pregnancy. That's not a good life for me. I like to challenge myself. I like to go higher. I want to write books. I want to draw pictures. I want to do talk shows. I want to interview people. I want to share my travels on camera. I want to vibe with the world. I want to vibe with everybody. Good and bad. You might see something and something that I shared and it has nothing to do with me. But I want to be the one to deliver my part in my experiences to you. Not saying that I'm the guru and know everything. I'm still learning. I tell you, some of you in the chat room when we do our live shows have taught me so much. I have learned so much from the comment section of those videos, things you shared. We're breathing, we're vibrating, we're working together to make ourselves better. We're building real bridges. You don't have to be next to somebody to build a bridge with them. We have this technology now, and yes, it's used against us most times. But I tell you what, it's a wonderful thing, because if you use it well, you can ascend, you can get better. And I tell you, this is what I want the Lancescurv show to be. That little place in the corner of cyberspace. And I'm not trying to win over everybody. Like I said, out of the 109,000 subscribers that I have to the channel, it sounds impressive to some, and it's nothing to others. But I do know there's maybe 1,000 or 1,500 strong, maybe 2,000 that can't get around at a time. I was watching a video one time. This photographer was speaking about, well, listen, I have 500,000 subscribers, but it's only 50,000 that he has. He has 500,000, but only 50,000 that vibe with him. Okay, so don't look at certain things and look at what's important. This is why I'm here for you. If you want to talk about a certain story or you want to talk about something that you don't want to put your face out there, your name out there, I'll gladly attack it. Empress Ella G and me and the whole crew and the whole SCURV family, because we are a family. We know you have your blood family and DNA sharers, but oftentimes in this world, sometimes you have an extended family that you're closer to the ones that you came out of the same womb with. Isn't that something? And sometimes it takes a while to learn that you can share DNA with a mother, with a father, with a child, and you just don't have the same vibration. You see, that's something that you have to gain yourself. Every child, every person that was born was a child at one time, and they had their own vibration. And sometimes they get held back because they get caught up in the foolishness of their parents. And if they're not doing right, they have this veil put over their eyes, and they act and fight the battles of their parent, yet they're not living. They get the anxieties. They get the disorders, whether it's drugs or blown up like a pig, you're eating all night and you can't figure why. It shows that there's a problem, a challenge, an indication of something going on below the surface. And so for me, I want to bear all of my stuff. There are people whose toes that I stepped on. There are women that I broke their heart. I apologize for all of that. But you are not going to hold me in one spot with any guilt. Remember, back in so-and-so, you did this. Say, yo, really and truly, I forgot what you look like. You know what I mean? We've moved on. We have to move on. You cannot stay in one place and be stagnant. You won't get anywhere. You know how many old ladies in their 80s are talking about something that happened 60 years ago when they dated a guy after high school? I'm like, are you for real? That guy had kids, got grandkids, that got kids, great, and you talking about that? Are you really stuck in that place? You need to get therapy. You need to self-heal. You need to detox. Every now and again, I go into exile myself. I'll continue my shows, but I'll get away actively. And the super close people, I let them know I'm going to continue the shows, but I'm chilling for a while. Next 2 weeks, I'm going to just do my thing and just meditate. Of course, I'm going to put the work in. That does not bother me at all because this is one of my joys. You know, you put a gun to my head and say, talk for the next 6 hours. It makes sense. Well, guess what? 8 hours later, you sleep and I done took the gun and put it down in your pocket and left. So find what it is that you can do that you love. People will attack you and try to shoot you down and try to predict doom in your life. But if you have something that you really love doing, like me with my artwork, me writing, me with my drawing, riding a bike, riding my unicycle. I got to do a video with that too. I ride a one-wheel bike, a unicycle. And I've been doing it for many years, and for about 40 years I stopped. Then I got back on the bike. It's not a bike with two wheels. I'd say about maybe 5 years ago. A little stiff. I think you saw the video anyway still too. But now I have the time to perfect my balance, and it's a slightly different model than what I had growing up that I really mastered, because my balance, even though I was younger, for me to be a grown man is so much heavier, and to still balance on that thing, that's what helped me when I would spar and play around with boxing in the gym, know how to hit the bag, because I have very good balance. And I know how to shift all my body weight to one punch, pivot, and do certain things where I can hit harder than what my strength allows, because I understand balance. So, not to get off on a different topic, but all of these things I can talk about, everything, every truth in the universe complements the next truth. The universe is perfectly balanced. And like I said before, we're not perfect, but we need to seek balance in our life. You know, there are people that sit up all night out of worry. I've done it for enthusiasm, to do what I do. I got to pull myself away from my work. But there's some people who are producing nothing online, and they're sitting up in their bed on their phone, looking at comments. Who is that? Let me follow who they are. What did they mean by that? You know, and they just don't have a life. They may have a huge bank account and can't even enjoy that because their mind is so messed up. Their mind is so messed up. There are people that have less, that are free, that don't even care that they have left. They're free. Yes, in this system, you like the little bit of money that you can put in your pocket. I understand that. But what's nicer? Yeah, you put a little money in your pocket. Okay, that's not your God. Just put a little money in your pocket. Put on some sandals when the weather's warm, like over here in Ghana. It's always warm. It's always summer. That's one of the reasons why I'm so happy. And I am different. I'm melding into the goodness of this life. I'm merging into the good energies, and I make sure to keep that around me. But what's better? Throwing on your sandals, a light pair of shorts, a little t-shirt that you like the little design of the saying on the front, whatever else you need to put in a little bag that you can throw over your shoulder, and just leave. Where you going, Lance? I don't know. When you coming back? I don't know. I'm free. And I want to venture throughout the world and enjoy it. And best of all, the platform that we took time and built over the last 2 decades is here. And it's got many legs under its table. It's not just YouTube videos. We have a whole lot of those. But it's just expressions across the board of people who have come onto the platform in various degrees, and some of them are not even here with us right now. You know how that feels to me when I did a video or an interview, and it might have been 6 or 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I've been doing shows for 10 years, right? And I get a call from someone, and they thank me. And I say, well, I can't say I know who this is, and why are you thanking me? They said, well, you know, our father passed away, or our young daughter passed away. It could have been anybody, because this happened several times and pretty much has been aunts, cousins, grandparents, children. And you did a talk with them, or they called into your show and you let them talk. You let them talk for 20 minutes. And we don't have any recording of their voice. We thought that we would never hear their voice again, although we can hear it in our head. But to sit down and really hear it, we didn't have anything. And then one day, a couple of weeks ago, although this video has been out for 8 years, we had a friend of a friend call us and say, you wouldn't believe it. Your daughter, who passed away at the age of 19, spoke for 20 minutes about how much she loved her parents. And they gave it to them, and he sat around. And this is what they told me. They must have played it almost 20 times. And they were crying tears of joy as they heard it. They understand the spirit realm. They know that all is not lost. Although as a human being, we miss the people we love. It is a terrible blow. But I mean, there's nothing really terrible when you look at it. Because look at the pain, mothers, of childbirth, in labor. If you've had several children, you understand that, well, some, you know, when I had you, you gave me trouble, and I was sitting there for 18 hours in labor, and you came out after 3 hours or something. You know how they compare? But it is very painful, fellas. You got it easy. We got it easy. We climb on and climb off. They got to carry a child for 9 months, go through morning sickness, go through feeling nauseous, headaches, different ailments, your joints are aching, you have all this weight inside you and bloat and water. Your body becomes a baby manufacturing machine, and it's all about the baby. And then when the baby comes out, that's another bit of pain. But guess what? When that child comes out, moments after, and the child is in the mother's arm, she forgets all about that pain. It's a beautiful thing. Learn the lessons in nature as it's presented to you. And if she had to do it all over again, no matter how many of our mothers say it, 99.99% would do it if someone said, I'm going to take your child's life if you don't go through it again. Well, you know what, baby? Bring it on. Double up the labor, because I love my child. And although I complained and bitched and moaned through the whole thing, when they got here, it was a peace that you never knew. Young girls who may have been wayward, who may have been rebellious, once they experience this peace, there's nothing like it. Sometimes and oftentimes, which is a good thing, it calms them down. When you see the miracle of life. There's so many things I'd like to talk about with you. But when I was talking to those folks, and they told me how they sat there and they could not thank me enough, and they wanted to offer some monetary reward or gift, on that note, I couldn't take it. If it's just a regular, hey, Lance, we want to help keep the ball rolling, fine. But that one there, I had to tell them that to hear what they said and what was done for them because of that show that I did. And I remember the show. I wasn't even going to do a show that day. And they said they can remember around that time that she had something to do, or she was working or something and stayed home. It wasn't by chance. It was divine. And a lot of things we have in our life that we take for granted is divine. And we're thinking so carnal that we take it for granted and not appreciate it until it's gone. That was payment enough for me. There are times I think about that and it pushes me on and motivates me, because you don't know by your actions, large and small, how you are affecting those around you for the good. We know we can be jerks and do bad things, and most people don't even give a damn, but that karma is going to come back around on you. So hopefully I spent enough time that when it's all said and done, when it's tallied up, that I did more good than the possible bad that I've done in my life. But there's a joy in this. And there's a joy in building the bridges. There's a joy in not building barriers. But if your energy's no good, I can't really get down like that because I have a mission to do. There's a reason why the time of our transition is not on a calendar where you know, because some of us would act a fool right up until a few hours before and try to get ourselves straight with the Creator. Doesn't matter to me. I'm glad to be here in what large or small capacity that I'm needed. I'm glad to be here to shine your shoes or clean your toilet if need be. I can do great things and I can do what others wouldn't want to do because it's below them. There's nothing below me. When you love someone, there's nothing below you. When you love someone and when you love your people, you will give the world to them and nothing will stop you from doing it for the simple joy of doing, for the simple joy of building a bridge and not making a barrier, for the simple joy of being that leg under the table, even though that table has 19 other legs under it. You know one day that you may have to bear most of the weight, and it's okay because you love your friend. Spread the love. Don't be used now. Don't be foolish, because folks will try to use your goodwill against you. If it's something good that you have to budget it. You just can't give it away to anybody. They have to earn it, or you have to see from a distance that they have earned it, even if it's not with you. Because when you give your love and your attention to people who don't deserve it, you just as might as well throw your life force away. And as we well know from the lessons in this life, that there is no energy wasted, not a one thing. Everything serves a purpose. Get away sometime and sit down in the park and think to yourself, what purpose were you put here for? And when are you going to start? Lancescurv out. I love you all. Leave a few comments. And I hope you're there for the morning show with Empress Ella G. It's all love at this point. Peace.